And do you guys want to do rock, paper, scissors, or you want to just defer? So what are we doing? Jamie's going first. Okay. The incumbent will go first. So, everybody ready?
Let me share this real quick here. Can we live streaming? We gotta get all the people out there watching, right?
Yep. Yeah, he's live streaming also. John is on Facebook.
His,
Oh, you're sharing his. Okay. Yeah, if you want to, you can share his. John is doing it on Facebook, live streaming. Okay. Do you want me to have Angela go first? That way you can do that? All done? Cool. All right. Okay, you get a 2-minute introduction. Go ahead.
Good evening. I'm Jamie Gragg, right here in Ozark. I am the current rep for the 140th District, and I am finishing up right now my 4th year, my 2nd term as your representative. Right now, as of last week, I served on the, 7 committees. I didn't get a lot of sleep. I served on the Children and Families Committee, the Education Committee, and that would be primary and secondary education, not higher education. Served on the Commerce Committee. Served on the, I was the Vice Chair of the General Laws Committee. Served on the Redistricting Committee. That was a fun one. That was the committee that did the redistricting for the congressional map. So when we did the redistricting for the congressional map for the Kansas City Metro, where we messed up Emmanuel Cleaver. That was a committee I sat on, so hopefully we'll get working on that with the St. Louis Metro before the end of the year as well. So that committee is actually still standing. I also served on the Ethics Committee. So that is a committee that you hope never meets, but unfortunately we did have to meet once or twice this year. And that is a committee that I take very respectful and very highly, because they try to find the folks that make not only good decisions, but are very honorable and very respectable when they make their decisions. So that is the committees. I don't think I left anything out. But I think that's all the committees that I've served on this year. And hopefully you guys will give me the opportunity to serve another 2 years. So thank you very much.
Thank you, Jamie. Angela?
Hi, yes. Sorry, there we go. Hi, yes. I'm Angela Romine, and I'm also running for the 140th. A little bit about myself. I am a veteran, an Army brat also. My dad served, and my husband served, so I am a family of service. I'm also a business owner. I'm a massage therapist, and I've owned my own business for 13 years. I served on city council during COVID, and I actually pushed back the only voice on city council that was telling people that they have the right to their own choices, when it came to the mask mandate and the vaccine. And so I know what it is like to have a target on your back and do the difficult things. I also have served in the Greene County Republican Women's Club as the president of that club, and I've been part of the MRA since 2020. I did not even know the MRA existed until then, and that's when I was running for city council. And I loved what you guys did, so I stepped forward in that club, and now I'm in the 7th District, 2nd VP chair for that organization. I also served on Central Committee in Greene County, and so I want to continue serving and standing for the voice of the people. And I'm a great listener. I listen to even of people that were Democrats when I was on city council. I was the only one that actually took meetings with them. They would come and tell me that my other counterparts would not take those meetings, and even though we didn't agree on anything, listening to them was really, really important, and I think that's something that we need to get back to, is listening to our constituents, and I would like to have that opportunity to do that.
Thank you, Angela. And we will go ahead and start with Jamie's first question, and then we'll go from there. I'll try to do it right this time. Property taxes in Christian County continue to rise even though assessed values increase. What specific legislation would you support to cap or limit the burden on homeowners and farmers?
Well, honestly, when it comes to legislation, I think that's That is one avenue that you can take. But ultimately, I think when it comes to property taxes, educating the voters is going to be your first and foremost plan of attack. People here in the county need to understand that when you have property taxes, you can control how much you pay in your property taxes by either voting yes or voting no when you go to the ballot. Right there is your first line of attack. If you see something coming up that is a property tax increase or a decrease or a no increase tax item, make that decision, because that right there that's up to you. Anything that is beyond that, if you want legislation done, you're making the decision back home first. So when it comes to legislation, if we are going to cap income tax, personally, I would have liked to have seen us get away with property taxes first. I think we should have tackled that first instead of capping the income tax. I think that would have been an easier lift, and I think it would have been something that would have affected a lot more folks in a better avenue first. But we're doing the income tax first. But anyway, I would have done that first. That's how I would have tackled the property taxes. So first thing, I would educate the voters back home first, and then two, I would have tackled the property tax elimination first.
Okay, thank you, Jamie. And Angela, same question. Property taxes in Christian County continue to rise even though assessed values increase. What specific legislation would you support to cap or limit that burden on homeowners and farmers?
Well, I believe that we need to look at departments like DESE and our administrations here in the school district, because we are over-administered and we don't have enough for our schools, our teachers actually. And there's also, I believe, the government or our schools are sometimes using the taxpayer dollars incorrectly. I'll give you an example from City Council. There was a private entity that City Council bought for, I can't remember, I think it was like $7 million. That was taxpayer money, and then they go around and ask for a hotel tax. So we need to look at where they're spending their money, and so I think that we just need to have some kind of oversight to see what the money's being spent at. But I do agree that the taxpayers ultimately have the last decision, and we've seen you guys fight a lot and vote correctly most of the time on keeping those tax dollars down. But we should not be afraid to stand up and fight to push back on the property taxes. Unfortunately, we did not get property taxes. We got the state income tax. And when I talked to legislators, I had said, I don't want just a one-for-one exchange. I want 2 or 3 taxes for the exchange of service. So I think that that's where I would start.
Thank you, Angela. And the next question goes to you, Angela. Should Missouri strengthen its Second Amendment Preservation Act, and how would you respond if federal agencies attempted to enforce firearms regulations that conflict with it?
I personally really do support the Second Amendment Preservation Act. Our great and wonderful Congressman Eric Burleson, among others, got the first one passed. Unfortunately, got overturned. There was a new proposal for a Second Amendment Preservation Act with the language removed for that made the judges overturn our bill. And I believe that as representatives, part of our job is to stand up to protect our God-given rights, not to placate departments or other services. It should be we the people and our God-given rights.
Thank you, Angela. Jamie?
Sure. Read the question one more time, please.
Sure. Should Missouri strengthen its Second Amendment Preservation Act, and how would you respond if federal agencies attempted to enforce firearms regulations that conflict with it?
Sure. And I agree with her completely. SAFA is a phenomenal product, and again, I do agree with it. I'm going to answer it this way. We did have a SAFA bill that came through, and it was flawed this year. It did have some of the items that were flawed from the original that the courts took out, that the courts threw out the last one. Those things were fixed. But then some of the things were put in there and came through General Laws Committee this last year. It did come through committee. Everyone in our committee did make mention of a few things. There were little things. There were things that needed to be tweaked here and there. None of those things were corrected when the bill came back for exec, for the vote out. The bill handler did not make any of the corrections. He didn't make any of the tweaks. So the things that were noted to him when he presented the bill 3 weeks earlier were detrimental to the bill. They were things that would have gotten the bill thrown out in the court system again. There were things that would have not only given us one step forward in your Second Amendment rights, but would have given us 2 or 3 steps backwards in the long run. And I am not going to placate to bad bills, and I'm not going to play around with your Second Amendment rights, and I'm not going to just vote something out because a lobbyist has bullied around with a legislature with your Second Amendment rights. I'm not going to do that. That's not my job. My job is to go up there and protect your Second Amendment rights. We had other staple bills that were going through the legislature. Mike Moon, our senator, had another one as well. In fact, it was actually better language. It was cleaner. And I believe he would have done the things that it would have taken to actually make it happen. We had other SAPA bills going through. So when you hear that Jamie killed SAPA going through the legislature, that was not true. Jamie did not kill SAPA. Jamie killed one SAPA bill because it was not a good bill. So I agree that that bill was bad, and I will not allow federal law enforcement to come into our state and take our firearms and things of that nature if that's the end of the question.
Okay, thank you, Jamie. And now it goes on to Angela. No, Jamie, you get the first one. Do you believe the Missouri Department of Elementary and Secondary Education, DESE, has too much regulatory authority over local school boards? What specifically would you cut?
Everything. Just.
You done?
You want me to expand upon it? DESE actually, yeah, I'll take all 3 minutes with this one. DESE actually has got more than you realize. DESE has reimbursements to child care facilities. DESE has a large portion of your foster care program. It has nothing to do with primary and secondary education. DESE is this huge monster that has grown bigger than you realize what it really is. So yes, DESE actually has more than it should. DESE needs to be taken down like a tree trunk. We need to take off the branches. We need to take it down slice by slice and just until it's a stump. And then we need to, I don't think it needs to go away. It has a function. It does, because like Representative Whaley said earlier, public education actually has a purpose. It's a monster right now, but it has a purpose. And DESE should have its purpose. It's small, and it needs to be put in its place. It needs to be where it needs to be, but it's not where it needs to be right now. So it needs to be trimmed back like a hedge so that it's manageable, it's functional, and it should not have the control and the management that it has right now. Much of what you hear when it comes to the overpowering of the public education is more than likely the NEA, MSBA, MSBA, things of that nature. The unions is probably what you hear mostly, but DESE is a little bit too big right now, a lot too big, and needs to be trimmed way back so that it's more manageable. Yes.
Thank you, Jamie. Angela?
Well, I spoke to.
You want me to read the state question?
Sure.
Okay. Do you believe the Missouri Department of Education and Elementary and Secondary Education, DESE, has too much regulatory authority over local school boards, and what would you cut specifically?
I stated earlier that DESE is an issue, and that I think that also, it may not correlate exactly 100% with property taxes the schools do, but I think DESE has a huge influence on where the schools are going, and I do believe that they're hindering our school boards from doing their job. I also believe that we as legislators need to do everything we can to change the system. Mr. Gragg said, there is a small portion that DESE needs to do, but I mean, President Trump did it at a national level, and we need to do the same thing here in Missouri.
Okay, thank you. And the first question now goes to Angela.
Sorry, I forgot.
That's okay. I forgot at the beginning. Missouri still has county clerks and election authorities who operate with very little oversight. What additional transparency or audit requirements would you support to ensure election integrity at the local level?
Well, I think that we definitely need to clean up our voter rolls. I think there was a project a few years ago that was trying to do that and show that there's issues. So I do believe that we've got to do something to make sure that our voter rolls are clear and clean, and hold our elected officials accountable when they do not want to comply with that. I think that we need to make sure that we're on top of that and we don't forget and move on, because that's what happened in 2020. We had people actually canvassing and looking at the voter rolls. That we have automatic registration, and so nobody has to re-register. People move, people die, and there's a lot of things in our voter rolls that need to be cleared up. So there's things that we still have to do to continue to do all we can to have fair and transparent elections.
Thank you. Jamie, same question. Missouri still has county clerks and election authorities who operate with very little oversight. What additional transparency or audit requirements would you support to ensure election integrity at the local level?
Hopefully I'm going to go the right direction that you're going for here. I have a bill that I filed my first 2 years. I did not file it this last year because I saw some other bills that I was hoping were going to go the right direction. But I'll file it again this next year to close our primaries. I think we need closed primaries. I think that's going to be the avenue we're going to have to take, because right now, and it's got some guardrails in it so that you can't switch parties back and forth and mess up elections. It's got time frames. It's got guardrails so that it protects our elections and our parties, and it also has so that you're party specific. That'll protect our elections, and then of course, as Ms. Romine said, clean up our rolls. And we've got some clerks around our state that have started doing that. Shane Scholler up in Springfield has done a good job of doing that, and so is our Secretary of State. Things of that nature need to happen, and it needs to be stepped up. We need to educate the clerks around our state that probably don't know what they're doing, or have inherited situations that are probably not quite so nice, and help them come along. Some of these older counties that have not been cleaned up, and bring them along. So that's what we need to do.
Thank you, Jamie. And you're up, Jamie. The next question: should Missouri ban DEI offices and programming in state-funded universities? What would you do legislatively to enforce that or make that happen?
Yes, I would do it. Yes, hands down, yesterday. Yes, and I wouldn't stop there. We need to get that not just in our higher education. We need to do that in all state offices. We need to do that in all of our schools, down to preschool. It's amazing what you see in your elementary schools. It's amazing what you see in your high schools. I've toured some high schools, and it's hidden. It's hidden what you see, folks. Your doors into your classrooms, you've got just this little sliver of glass, little sliver or little bitty sticker right there that you don't really pay attention to. Yeah, you've got little things all over the place. DEI is everywhere, folks. And what would I do to get rid of it? There's this thing called a budget that the legislature has control over. If you don't get rid of it, the budget kind of controls everything. I hate to go that direction, but that kind of is a very effective tool that education people really like to have money, and if they don't comply, then the budget kind of controls things.
Okay, thank you, Jamie. Angela? Should Missouri ban DEI offices and programming in state-funded universities? What would you do legislatively to enforce that?
Yes, but I think we also need to say things like DEI or anything like it. So we know that federally they have said that they removed DEI, and I'll tell you as an example, Springfield, Missouri still has a DEI department, but it's called Intercultural and Belonging, and the statement, their mission is still the same, which is cultural and integration, education kind of things. So they're going to call it other things to get around that. So we need to make sure that we're auditing at all levels, but we need to get rid of it. I also like what they're doing in Texas, where they're teaching true history from the bottom up. So that way nobody's a victim. You actually are teaching civics from the beginning, from a very young age. Because one of the things that we need to do is change culture. And the only way we're going to get culture changed is to actually educate our children with the right curriculum. And this is fact-based history, which goes back to showing that the documents say that we are a Judeo-Christian country. And we also will teach Missouri history along with that. But we need to teach our kids to be proud of who they are, that they're not victims, that if you work hard, you can succeed in anything you put your mind to it. I'm a product of that. My dad told me that people were going to look at me differently because I'm Hispanic and I'm a woman. And he said, but you're not. Work hard, prove them wrong. And from then on, that's what I've lived my life like. So we need to be able to teach our children the same thing at all levels, but also our universities. Because let me tell you, I was in OTC, and I met somebody that's starting a Democrat Socialist club at OTC. And I asked this person, what are you going to school for? And this person said, because again, I couldn't tell. This person said, history teacher. And they're starting a Democrat Socialist club at OTC. So we need to figure out a way for legislators to do something about this and actually get down to the root of it. And I think that's how you're going to get rid of DEI. But we need to find ways to, no matter what they call it, find it, seek it out, because Mr. Gragg is correct. It's in everything, everywhere. Children's books, you name it, it's everywhere. So we need to make sure that we find ways to weed it out and get it out of our systems. And I believe holding the budget would be a great way to start that. But we need to not just stop at DEI. It needs to be, or whatever you want to call it. I don't care if you call it Pink Princess. It is the same. It has the same role. It has the same job, and we just need to get rid of it.
Thank you, Angela. And the next one goes to you, Angela. Missouri has, I think I duplicated this one from one of the previous ones, so why not? We'll let you have this one too. Missouri has seen efforts to expand hate speech laws and add sexual orientation and gender identity to protected class status. Where do you stand, and what are the implications for churches and employers?
Well, the implication is if you say that marriage is between a man and a woman, and that God created two genders, so you're going to be saying you're spewing hate speech. One of our founding things and our God-given rights is that we have a right to free speech, whether you like it or not. I've been called names. You just have to let it go and move on. It's not hate. You can't dictate, because at some point you're going to say, well, if you say the word pink, that's hate speech, or if you say purple, that's hate speech. So that's not the role of government to tell people what they can and cannot say. Again, it's our God-given right, and so we have to do everything we can to protect that, because it will hurt our churches, it will hurt our businesses. I'm a business owner, I'm a Christian, I have everything in my office that says Christ first. I have a box that says leave a scripture, take a scripture, and I don't want to I don't want to fall into that category that they're going to say that I can't say those things, because I am a Christian first, regardless of what role I no matter what hat I wear.
Thank you. Jamie, I'll restate. Missouri has seen efforts to expand hate speech laws and add sexual orientation and gender identity to protected class status. Where do you stand, and what are the implications for churches and employers?
Yeah, this seems silly to me. I grew up right here in Ozark. You know, I remember when Ozark didn't have a stoplight. I remember when you couldn't go anywhere and you didn't meet a stranger. It was a totally different town. People just don't watch enough Andy Griffith anymore. It's a new world, and now we've got to make a law to tell people to be nice. It sounds really weird to me that. Anyway, I guess if the other representatives talked about bills they had, this goes to probably my bill that I have been very adamant about since day one, is my father bill. Unfortunately, it did not, again, make it across the finish line. It died over in Senate committee this year. This all goes back to the family unit. Kids need to learn as kids right and wrong, when to be nice, how to be nice, who to be nice to, everybody. They need to learn how to be courteous, how to say please, how to say sir, how to say ma'am, how to say thank you. My kids have not learned that one, apparently. These are the things that kids need to learn. We need to be strengthening the family unit. To be legislating morality, I think that's going too far, because we need to be doing whatever we can to strengthen the family unit. Do we do that with the legislature? You know, we can pave the way and make a positive society for families, but the church needs to step up. That's where we really need to work. Thank you.
Thank you, Jamie. And we will go ahead. At this point, did either of you want to do the question to each other? Okay, so they're not wanting to do that. So we'll open the floor, and it would be to Jamie first. Questions, okay? Can somebody, we have another microphone around here, or not? No? Okay.
Okay, so this is going to be kind of a question. Jamie, what have you done? And Angela, what would you do? Now, we've talked a lot about taxes tonight, and it's kind of like we're not talking about taxes in a systematic approach, because you've got too many taxing entities out here, and it's kind of like hit and miss, and you reduce one tax, somebody else raises another tax, and I've been through that. The one tax I want to ask about is, in the last election cycle, we voted a constitutional amendment for gambling tax to go to the education system, okay? Nobody has talked about how much money it is, where has it gone, is it just seeing DESE, is it filtering down the state to the local school districts, and if it is supposed to filter down to the local school districts, why has my property tax that I'm paying to the local school district not been reduced in proportion to all of that lucrative money coming out of gambling? And I'll just say that once that got passed, almost every commercial on TV became, hey, open up this gambling account, open up this gambling account, open up this gambling account. It was just flooded to grow the industry within Missouri. So they should be making plenty of taxes. Thank you.
Yeah, that's actually a good question. Thank you. Couple different ways that I'm going to answer that. First and foremost, it's a shell game. The lottery back when I was a kid, when it first came to Missouri, was the same thing. It's look, a new stream of money. So we're going to take it, we're going to put it right over here, where this money is. Oh, we're going to replace this money. So this money, I can use this money that we just put it with and move it over here for these pet projects. So all we've done is we've just moved the money around. So that's all it is. But what we're hearing now in Jeff City, I'm not sure if you guys have heard it, Senator, you can probably hit on me if you heard it on your side of the building as well. gambling money it's in the tubes right now. The gambling money is not coming in like they thought it was. Are you hearing that on your side of the building as well? Yeah, so Desi's sweating. Yeah, there's not a lot of gambling money coming in, and all this money they spend on advertising. You couldn't even pull up your cell phone without getting advertising for all these gambling apps and things like that, and people aren't gambling in the state of Missouri. So that's why. People aren't gambling, and it's a shell game.
Thank you, Jamie. Angela, Angie, go ahead and respond.
I wasn't sure if we were getting new questions, but that's the same thing that I know is that what they're doing is, and I think the lottery is the same way. That money was supposed to go to education also, but what they do is, let's say they get $200 from the gambling, so they'll put it in the education fund and they'll take $200 to spend wherever else they want. So the education funds are not growing. But I do believe that that's one of the things that we need to address is why our property taxes keep going up. There's something that's happening that we're probably not aware of that the schools are doing to government waste. We all know there's government waste. Let me tell you, I've talked to some other people and they're like, well, we know there's government waste, we just don't know how to find it. And that is not the appropriate answer. We need to do everything we can to find the waste and call it out. And that's one of the things that I did on city council. I got, I want to say it was a property bill, but when I was on city council, they asked me to vote on some extra property or extra tax. And I voted no, and everybody made me feel like I was dumb for doing that because it actually said it was part of the law that it comes to city council for a vote. And I said, and nowhere in this law does it say that I have to vote yes. If it comes to me, I can vote yes or no. So just, I'm not going to follow the status quo. So those are things that we need to look at. But that's why our property taxes keep going up and up and up. And they talk about inflation, and they talk about how our communities are growing. That means the houses are, more people are living here, so they're also getting property taxes. So there's not a revenue issue, there is a spending issue, and that's what we really need to address.
Thank you, Angela. Okay, now at this point I was opening it up to the floor to everybody. Well, hang on, I gotta do it right. Is there somebody that had a question for Angela specifically? Since that one was directed to Jamie specifically, is there anybody that has a question for Angela specifically? Yeah, he'll answer it too.
Hi, Angela. Just wanted to know if you support the Save America Act, basically the credentialing of voters and making sure that everybody has provided proof of citizenship before they vote. Is that something you support?
Absolutely. I am. Let me tell you, that's one of my pains is I'm Hispanic. Most of my family is from Mexico, and I have seen the fraud firsthand. And it is atrocious how much money we're spending on illegal people being here and voting and getting involved in our elections, and it is grossly sick. I mean, I had a family member, he has since passed away. He was born in the United States, so technically he was an American citizen, but never once did he live one day in the United States. Never one day did he ever work in the United States, but he would cross the border to get food stamps and welfare checks and disability and Social Security and Medicaid, and that's just one person. I know several people that do that. There's a huge issue, so I am about saving this beautiful country. I'm an American citizen, and we need to make sure that people that are not allowed to vote in our elections, if they're not part of this country, and that's what I'll have to say about that.
Thank you, Angela. Jamie, same question.
Same question, yes, absolutely, positively, 120% yes, as well as making sure that they're alive too.
That was it. That was quick. Thank you. Okay. All right, here's another question.
Okay, Jamie, in 2024, this body, the CCRCC, by a majority vote, endorsed Justin Sparks for Speaker of the House.
Oh, we're going to go there. Great.
We are going to go there. The two other Christian County reps, voted for him, while you voted for Patterson. Why? And let me clarify, I'm not asking what you think that Patterson or Sparks did good or wrong, good or bad since then. I'm asking, why didn't you honor the
Because I was up there. I was elected by my people, 37,000 folks, okay? I am a representative of the 140th district. Not just the small group of folks right here in this group, okay? Now, how many people are here right now? How many would you guys say are here right now?
70.
70? Okay, how many would you say are in the 140th district? No, of this group. I like the way she's a math teacher, folks. We'll just say a third of them, so we'll say probably about 23 folks. I've got a itty bitty portion of my district right here represented. I've got a large group of people that I represent. Okay, I have to consider all of those folks. I have to make the best decision for my district. And they want me to pick the best person that will do the job of Speaker of the House. I've worked with both of those folks. I came in with Justin Sparks. He is a friend of mine. I worked side by side with him. I served in committee with him. I know his personality. I know what kind of job he would do. I know also John Patterson. I know his personality. I know that he is not near as conservative. I know he's not conservative. But I know the job he would do. I had to weigh out both of those guys. I had to find out, or I had to tell which guy would do the best job that we're hiring him to do. Now, also, when it came to how you get the job, how do you win an election? What you do is you have a product. Right now, I'm the product. There's Romine as the product. We are going to the people who buy the product. We're marketing the product to the people who buy the product, right? And we are hoping when August 4th comes, the majority of the people that buy the product buy my product or her product, right? Justin Sparks did not do that. Justin Sparks instead did not come to the people that went to buy the product, which would have been the House of Representatives. Instead, he went around behind those people's backs and he went to everybody else. He went to my 37,000 people. And he tried to manipulate the House of Representatives and say, hey, get your guys to vote for me. He did manipulative tactics. He did not come to us and build relationships. It was a very weird way that he ran his, I don't know if you call it a campaign. It was not leadership. It was the farthest thing from leadership. It told me that he was not going to be a good person to follow. Thank you. Red flag. Okay, if you have a question, just come up here for both of them. Angela, you need to respond to that, if you would, please.
Well, I was not given that memorandum, but I also believe that the people here also represent their district. And if you guys had told me to vote for Justin Sparks, I would have agreed for several reasons. One of the things that were concerning to me is that Patterson had said that Amendment 3 has passed and the people have spoken. But when you look at the map of the abortion bill, most of the state voted no. It was just few counties that voted yes, and now we have abortion in our Constitution. And when Patterson said that people have spoken, and so we just need to leave it be, that was really upsetting to me as somebody that believes all life matters. So I would have taken all of that into consideration because, yes, I'm representing the people, and the people that vote me in, if they do, is because they're also pro-life people, and they also believe all life matters, because I'd rather stand on my principles and than pander to a vote. So if I get elected, it's because the people that are pro-life and the people that believe like I believe have elected me to do so. So I believe that I would have had that given to me to vote for Justin Sparks.
Thank you. And these are open questions now.
Taxes based on unrealized gains is illegal on a federal level. In other words, they can't directly tax your wealth. But somehow the state of Missouri does that. they go around and they say, hey, your $100,000 house is now worth $400,000, and we're going to tax you based on $400,000. You say, wait a second, I never sold my house. So, being in the legislature, what can you do to make the state of Missouri follow federal law? Because as far as I'm concerned, it's unconstitutional.
That would go to Angela first.
I believe there's several taxes that fall into this scenario, but my answer would be we need to fight hard to get rid of property taxes and not have what they're doing, which is basically bypassing the Hancock Amendment by saying that your house is worth more without having to go to the vote of the people. And the worst thing is that there's a committee that also threatened our assessors, saying that if they did not raise the property taxes, they would not get federal funding. Who are these people? Because they're not elected officials. And how are they dictating how our assessors are assessing our houses? So that's another way that we need, another thing that we need to look at. And so there's a lot of broken things. And again, there's a lot of taxes. I mean, don't even get me started. But that is one of the things that I would do, is try to figure out ways to remove the property tax, the real property tax.
Thank you, Angela. And Jamie?
Yeah, earlier I said that I would have started, instead of being with the income tax, I would start with property tax. And the reason I would have done that is because we never own what we own. There's a property that my grandfather, who had a farm out 1 mile out W Highway, I grew up on that farm. He was born in the house that he lived in, so it belonged to his great-grandfather. That's where his great-grandfather, his grandfather lived. So if we do the math, it would have been, from me, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 generations from me. So it's been in the family, so alive today, 6 generations. It's been paid off a long time. Still paying property taxes on it. They could still end up at the courthouse square. That's ridiculous. That's why I would have started off with property taxes. We've got to get rid of that. You never truly own anything. So that's what we got to get rid of property taxes.
Thank you. Okay, any other, well, we're going to try and wrap this up. It's too late and dark. Anybody else have questions they would like to ask? Going once? Going twice? Going once? Were you? Well, get up here. You a member?
I'm not.
Oh, he's just a public person that walked in off the street. Welcome. I don't know. Everybody say it's okay? We want to hear from a man on the street. What's your name?
My name's Kevin Bright.
Kevin Bright.
I've got one question. Eric Burleson, he's been a really good representative of Christian County for a lot of years. And I have a lot of respect for him. And for once now, there's a candidate here that's an incumbent that is not being endorsed by Eric Burleson, and that would be Jamie. And Jamie, I'd just like to hear your response to that. And I'm just kind of curious why he's not endorsing you.
Thank you.
That actually is a good question. I actually had reached out to him after the SEPA bill went through general laws. You know, and I understand that is his baby, as well as Jared Taylor. They both worked on that together when it was created. And when it went through general laws, like I said earlier, it had some little things that needed to be fixed. They weren't big things. They really weren't. They were little things that just with a few words here, a few words here, and a few words here would have corrected it, and it would have been a phenomenal SEPA bill, and it would have been just what we needed. But we were literally 2 weeks from losing 2 deputies here in Christian County. It would have been detrimental to everything that had just happened. People here in Christian County were extremely raw. It would have damaged everything that they just did to capture, or to get this guy. I say capture because he wasn't captured, he was taken. It wasn't corrected. So in essence, it was a bad bill because those things were not fixed. it would have taken just minutes to tweak. The congressman did not reach out to me to ask me those questions. Unfortunately, that's the problem nowadays, is people don't ask the questions. They don't find out. Instead, they listen. When people run for election, the first thing they do is they get up on the podium and they say, when I get up there, I'm going to vote for you. I'm going to be your voice. I'm going to put the swamp aside. I'm going to put the bureaucrats aside. I'm going to put the lobbyists aside. I'm going to make your voice heard. And then when you get elected, the first person they listen to is a lobbyist. Because I have heard more people listening to Aaron Dorr and the Missouri Firearms Coalition than they have their own representative who grew up here and who has been voting for you guys up there this whole time. And they have not asked me at all, why did you vote no on SEPA? This bill needed to be tweaked, is all it was. There were some little bitty things that needed to be tweaked. Even the president, the state president of the MRA even looked at it, and he agrees. He said the bill that we endorsed, the SEPA bill we endorsed back when Eric Burleson wrote it, this doesn't reflect it. The one that is filed that Mike Moon has sponsored, that looks like it.
Thank you, Jamie. Angela? I don't know what you can say about this. I mean, are you being endorsed by Eric Burleson? I don't know that answer.
No, not at the moment. No.
Okay, thank you. I just want clarification.
Yeah. No, I'm not being endorsed by Eric Burleson at the moment, and I don't know if he will later on. I don't know what that looks like. I personally have not asked him, so I believe that it's his prerogative of if he wants to endorse somebody in this race or not. So I don't want to put pressure on him to do that. But as I've said before, I am for the Second Amendment, and I am for the Second Amendment Preservation Act. I've read it. I did not see anything wrong with the bill, and I actually talked to Locke and Smith Foundation, and the only one issue that he had, but he saw that it was different than the last Second Amendment. They fixed the issue that he had with it, so I believe that would have been a good bill.
Thank you. So, this will be the last question unless I have other people that are like, oh, I got to ask my question. Okay, this will be the last question.
Thank you.
Who are you?
I'm Kathy. Data centers are a huge thing around the country. We just had a big issue in Webster County with Marshfield trying to bring in a data center, and they did a moratorium for a year. What are your thoughts on regulating our aquifers down here in Southwest Missouri, protecting us?
Thank you. That would go to Angela first.
I think it is a huge concern. We don't even know the ramifications of what these data centers will do close to people. I think some people are saying that there's adverse reactions, even though you can't hear the hum of these data centers. But as far as the aquifers are concerned in our waters, I think that is a huge issue that I have with the data centers. They should not have to take our waters. I think there's other ways to do it, and they have to be able to pay for it themselves, because again, having us pay for the infrastructure or anything that they have to do to mitigate their issues to build whatever they're going to be building, it should not fall on the citizens or on the taxpayers. But I think we need to make sure that our waters are safe. And I've seen that debate in Marshfield, and I mean, what they're doing right now is looking for counties that do not have planning and zoning, so that they don't have to go and ask permission, really, because that's what happened in Marshfield, is they went to, I think it was the county clerks, or not the county clerks, the county commissioners, and they gave them permission because they don't have planning and zoning. So that's what they're doing. They're looking for the weaknesses that we have in our state to build these data centers. But believe you me, they're going to want to come here too. No county, no city is going to be protected. So we need to do everything we can to protect ourselves. And that's that's why we were upset when the utility bill passed and the water bill passed, because they're opening it up to the data centers. So we need to do everything we can to reverse that.
Thank you, Angela. And Jamie? Yeah, 3 minutes. I'll try to make it as fast as possible. Yes, we need to protect our water. Kevin Bright can attest to that. I'm very protective of our water. We've got one of the best water aquifers right underneath us, right next to Florida. We have some of the best water there is in the world, so we need to protect that first and foremost. But then I think we also need to scratch our head and realize, or think to ourselves, why are they building so many of these things? It's not because we've got, Chat GPT and we're all making these funny videos and these funny things all of a sudden. That's not it. I think we need to think a little bit deeper. Things like crypto are getting bigger and bigger. I think what's coming is the ability for them to cut your finances off and for them to cut your power and to cut you off of society if something happens. That's the bigger thing we need to be looking at. So right now, this is local control, but I think the state needs to be working in cooperation with the local control because they're looking at counties, so the county level needs to be the ones dealing with these right now, and I think the state needs to be working in cahoots with them because they're coming into the state of Missouri as well. So I think that's where it needs to be working in cooperation, but I think we need to be looking at the bigger picture as well on the why. Thank you, Jamie. Okay, final comments. We'll start with you, Jamie. We've got 1 minute. Thank you very much. Yes, thank you very much for allowing us to come speak tonight. Like I said, I've been your rep for the last 4 years. I've got a very, very conservative record. I've been very trusted by some of the most conservative folks in Jefferson City. Even our upcoming speaker, Alex Riley. In fact, I was his roommate for 2 years, my first 2 years, and looking forward to another successful 2 more years if you guys allow me to go up there and serve another 2 years. But to end on one last thing about the question about Burleson, Eric Burleson, why he has not endorsed me. I would also throw that back as well. Because I did mention earlier, people don't ask the questions. Might ask him also the same question. Thank you very much.
Thank you for spending our time. Angela?
I believe that that I would be a great representative because I do listen. I come and I do ask questions and I listen to the people that I will be representing. I did the same thing on city council, even when it was hard, even when I had to go against the grain, no matter what people called me. It is not an easy job, and so I pray that you guys will consider supporting me in the coming election.
Thank you, Angela. Give these guys a round of applause, please. And I want to thank you all for coming out on this beautiful evening. I want to take a moment, just a few seconds on your own, to pray to yourself, to thank God for the great weather. And with that,